I'd done this, and I've ended up deleting what I'd built so far, which is why the household funds is at a really random amount. This is purely because I decided to do the screen recording and I just didn't really factor in how loud the in-game music was, so you couldn't hear anything that I was saying. We've bulldozed the house and we are going to start from scratch together now that I've messed with the audio and things. To begin, I'm definitely going to be repeating myself, not that any of you are aware of this, but I initially started with this fence, which is the big green privacy hedge, which part of me does feel like maybe we change it to the one with flowers, because I just think that's a bit cuter. So let's do that. Cute. Okay, so next we need to create a bit more of a fencing up here, but I'm going to actually build the initial plot of the house to begin with. I feel like maybe something like this. Of course, the great thing with Sims is you can very easily change things if you mess it up, which if you've watched any of my other videos you know that that's something I do quite a lot. So initially I'm just making sure that this is quite central onto the front of the house because we want the front door to be in the middle. I always have a house with medium walls rather than the tall. I feel like the tall is just a little extravagant. And I find the short makes the windows a little too big, so medium is the perfect medium for me. Perfect medium. So now that we have got this central, we're now going to create a little jut out area that's going to go in line with this doorway. We're then going to do this, and this is going to be our bathroom, downstairs bathroom. Nothing too huge, but something that's easily accessible as soon as you enter the house. I'm then thinking of having all of this as an open plan kitchen living room area, but I just don't know the placement in terms of where we're going to have stairs, if we're going to have this as the kitchen, this is the living room, or vice versa. I'm really not sure, I'll be completely honest. I've not really thought this far ahead. So now that we've done this, I'm now going to add a bit of fencing up here. That's quite cute. So what I'm thinking actually is if we select and move the house up, because we obviously want some steps to go up to this part of the house too, which I think will also look quite nice. Now I'm always tempted to put like a little fencing in here, but I don't think that's going to work with the stairs. So if we add in a fence, I think to begin with we're going to just play it safe, and we're going to go with something like this, I think. Making sure that we go from this fence, because if we go from the house it creates that partition. So just doing it like that, just to map out where we're going to have that. And then I wonder, let's put a fence there just in case it will let me do it, but I'm adamant that it's not going to. Now these were the stairs that I picked previously, like this, and if we rotate, see, I can either have it like this and then have a gate, or we can move it to there, which I actually think looks better, rather than having that platform at the top of the stairs. I think stick with that for the time being. It probably will change at some point, but for the time being, I'm quite happy with that. Now let's add in some of the flooring outside. I think could be a good idea. I quite like this in, I can't remember which shade it was. Was it? No, it's not. I'm lying. It's this one. This seems to work quite well with the rest of it, and then I actually quite like to extend that across because for whatever reason it allows you to put flooring in. But you can't move the boundary around it. So this is obviously costing quite a bit of money, but that's fine. Does it really make a difference? No. But actually for me it does. So just so that that looks nice and uniform. Now we're going to put it up here too, just so that it's got a nice flow. I am somewhat tempted to change these stairs, but at the moment I think that will do nicely. Now we need to find a front door that we quite like, which I say that I've already found the one that I want, because as I say, I've already done this. So this is my front door of choice, which is from the Cats and Dogs expansion pack, and I think that's quite cute. We're now going to do the outside of the house. I'm always drawn to this quite cobbled brickwork, stonework, whatever you want to call it. But for this house, I'm not wanting it to look too country-esque. I'm wanting a little bit of everything. So I'm just trying to remember which brick it was I used. I feel like it was this one in this colouring, which adorable in my eyes. We're now going to add some windows, which again I've already done. We're going for this one today, which is part of the, I think it's cottage living. It's either cottage living or country living. If you know, feel free to tell me down below, because I think it's going to get quite frustrating if I start saying the wrong name. But if I say country living and it's cottage living, just please understand what I mean. I quite like this colour option because you've got sort of an accented brickwork underneath it, as opposed to the one above it, where it kind of blends quite nicely. I quite like the accent on it, just to add a little bit more depth and dimension. So now that we've done this, as I said previously, this room that we created on the inside is actually for the bathroom. So then we are going to, I love this kind of like cottage stable door type thing as internal doors, and I think we're going to go for this one. So my vision for this is, as I say, I've already done this before. So when I'd previously built this, we had the furniture that we've already added previously. So we're going to put the shower in this corner. One tip I will give to anybody is using this triple mirror in a bathroom just to get a little bit more of a bigger space illusion. I love how much it mirrors. And then the bath, I'm going to use this glossy copper tub, which again is part of the Cottage Living expansion pack. I'm going to go for the grey with the copper style just to warm it up a little bit. And then we're going to put a half rug underneath it as well. But we're going to upscale that just once. And with that mirror reflection, it makes it look like a full circle moment. Then next to it, we're going to just slot the toilet in this little corner here so it's out of the way. But it's also got a bit of privacy from that window because I am obviously aware that this is the front of the house now. I'm going to obviously add some form of curtains or blind, but for the time being, we're not going to bother. And then, of course, we need to just add in a couple of accents to the room, so toilet roll being one of them. I just want to make sure that that's not too far away. Not that they actually use the toilet roll, but there we go. Just makes it seem a little bit more realistic. We're now going to bring the walls up to add in the counter space in the corner. Now, I'm obviously aware that this is very much a small downstairs bathroom style, which is absolutely fine because we don't need it to be anything extravagant. So I'm just picking which different corner pieces I want. So something as simple as that I think could work really well. And then maybe the sink could go here. I am a sucker for the cock-a-doodle-doo your dishes sink. This is actually the kind of sink that I dream to have in my actual house in real life. But I think I'm going to go for more of a country vibe for the kitchen, so I'm going to stick to the bureau sink for this one. And again, try and stick with the kind of wood theme that we've got, I suppose. So we're going to actually put that there and that in the middle, just so it looks a little bit smoother, I guess. And then above it, we are going to add this mirror. Even though we've got that big one on the other side, I feel like you need to be able to look at yourself when you're brushing your teeth. Speaking of brushing our teeth, we are going to add in a toothbrush holder and a soap dispenser. I love this little like shelf selection you have with this sink. We're now going to add in some dressing gowns and towels. Now the towels, I'm wondering if, yeah, there's only fireplaces, so we're going to create just doesn't really seem to be much room. So maybe, I mean, there's nothing stopping me from doing this, I guess. In which case, that could then go there and just give ourselves a little more room, I think. How's that making the rest of this look? Of course, we've now got another cabinet that we need to add in, which is fine. We're going to go for this one, and I think that looks quite nice. So then maybe we go back and put that bath caddy. Well, it says bath buddy shower caddy, but I think it could look okay here. Let's see. What are the colours? No, I think we'll stick to the white. But then at the same time, does that not? Oh, there we go. Oh, actually, in that case, I think, yeah, I think that's gonna probably do for the bathroom, although I'm a little worried that it's a bit big. So maybe we undo. Okay, so now that we're back to that original size that we were at, we can still add this there, because that was the only reason we actually made this room bigger, and I just think that looks a bit nicer, a little bit more compact. Now, I did say we were going to add in dressing gowns, so of course we've got 3 bath towels, so we need 3 dressing gowns, which this is a little bit awkward because they're not quite, I'm not sure why. I'm sure that I've already enabled, yeah. So I'd already enabled this cheat, but for some reason today it's not really working as well as it usually does. So that's a little bit annoying, but easily solved. Cute. Okay. And then we're gonna just add a little bit of clutter on the bedside table. That's not a bedside, on the bathroom countertops. So we're gonna go into the children's clutter section. Get a little box of tissues because you always need tissues. We've already got the bath basket, so I feel like maybe a couple of these canisters could look quite cute just to store some stuff in, you know. And then definitely some perfume, and maybe one more thing, some nail varnish could be good maybe, or some is going to get the better of me here because this is going to be quite a small bedroom. And realistically, we could probably shorten this house because I'm prone for making a house far too big and then just not having anything to fill it with, so it just becomes a very clutter central house. So we're gonna, as I said, start with the bedroom. So I think as you walk through the front door, we could do with maybe some of these. I do quite like the look of these outside as well, but they don't really look outside-esque in my eyes. So to get the bedroom started, I think the best thing for us to do is add in maybe like a suspended runway type light, although I do think that's going to be better in the kitchen. So maybe we just stick to the subtle saucer that we all know works pretty well. There we go, I think that's pretty central. Now for wallpaper. Is it wallpaper or paint? Let's have a look through the wallpaper. It's been a while since I've decorated a house in Sims. So, I mean, the banana leaf print never goes a fail, but I'm also very cautious that, like, I love this grey one, but I don't really want a monochrome boring house. No offence if anything that I say is a reflection on your house, please don't take it personally. This is just my personal opinion, my personal thoughts. So, again, to keep it uniform, actually, let's just put in the bedroom door. And now we can go back to that wallpaper. So, do we go for wallpaper, or actually we could go for paneling? A paneling could look quite nice. I say that these paneling options just aren't it. Like, they're either so in your face or so bland, and I'm like, where's the nice, like, soft in betweens? Because they're not tickling my pickle, if you know what I mean. See, I think that could work for the living room rather than the bedroom. Oh, see, I think that looks quite nice. It's kind of like the modern siding. Do we do that? Does that look okay? actually makes a bit more sense, doesn't it? And then that way you've got like a little dressing room-esque type thing. Okay, so there's actually way more of these than I realised. I mean, that makes no difference. What's the point in that? This one really could work, but it looks messy. Do you know what I mean? Same with this, it's completely see-through, so what's the point? Okay, that one's quite cute. We'll pop that there, I think, because then that way we can, if I remember where it actually is, just bear with me. I then feel like we could add a cute little dressing table like here. And if we have the bed up here, and this can be like the wardrobe. So something like this. I'm going to actually just delete that for a minute. Move that to there so that you can see what I'm doing. So if we go, I'm thinking this colouring. And then if we pop, I think that there. And then all of these. I freaking love these. Now the only issue is I need to make sure that these shelves are the same colour, which I mean should be absolutely fine. One more for good measure. Let's go for this one, I think. Is that the same? That is the same colour. A lot of blues, but that's okay. And then this one. Yes, it's men's, but does it really matter? I don't think so. And then that way we've got a cute little, like, dressing room type thing. With, oh, I actually prefer this laundry basket to that other one that we put in the bathroom. Let's just jump back across here, delete that, and put this in instead because I think that looks much nicer. And you know what, for good measure, let's do the same in the bedroom. Although actually, let's move that, and it can go there. And then I think along here we could probably do with a mirror. Now do we want, I don't think something like that. I also think that's a bit too excessive. So maybe we actually do go back in with this. tables. These ones, of course. I'm not sure, do we want... Yeah, I think this one. Then we could go for a clock. Do we really need a clock? No. But you know what, if there's one that matches, why ever not, you know? The more clutter the better in my eyes. I feel like, where could we put the clock? Maybe here. Actually, let's put it there so she can see it as soon as she wakes up. And then we need, let's get some plants because I freaking love me some plants. And to be honest, we could maybe put one either side of the front door too. Like these cute little planters are nice. Oh yes, absolutely. Of course they need to match. Adorable. I really like that. This is my issue. I get so distracted so easily that it makes it quite difficult to know where the freaking hell I'm at. Oh, see, this looks quite nice because it sits like on the foundation, but it doesn't quite sit with the mirror, with the window, sorry. But if I move that down, it looks silly. Okay, wait, we're getting distracted. We need to go back to this bedroom. We just need to put some like clutter and stuff on the bedside table, which actually we could put in a tablet. A tablet could work quite well actually. And then maybe some books. These books, this is what I mean. I think that could potentially finish the bedroom. Maybe some artwork or a big mirror up here could look nice actually. Just to fill that gap. Cute. Okay, I'm quite happy with that now. The only thing that's going to be missing, which we don't actually need straight away, but because we're here, we may as well. I think I'm going to get myself a dog because I've played a decent amount of this game, as I've already said, and having a little dog companion just makes it better. That being said, I've just noticed the chicken coop and the animal shed for us to either have a cow or a llama. So maybe I actually do that because I do find when you've only got one sim that it's very difficult for you to keep on top of all of your pets and have a job at the same time and keep your skills and stuff up. So actually we're going to hold off on any animal bed until we know what we want to do. So for the time being we'll just move these up a little bit more so it's not as cramped and so that we can see everything, I guess. Okay, so the bedroom is complete, but before I go on to starting the kitchen and living room, I'm actually going to add some blinds to the bathroom window and I think curtains to the bedroom window, and then I'm also just going to change this platform, which I'm going to do now. I keep saying platform, it's a foundation. So I really like this one, but I don't think it's going to match the style we're after. I also really like this one, but there's no... Oh, actually, I was going to say there's no colour that matches, but actually I think that looks quite nice. So that's what we're going to go with. Okay, so let's... Now we've done that foundation. Oh, that's not there everywhere, so... Let's just make sure that's the whole way around now. There we go, lovely, right. So, if we now go to the window coverings, I feel like something like this could think it looks too bad, but maybe we add a bit of colour into it. Do we prefer that colour? I'm just not a huge fan of the black / dark grey, so we're going to actually delete those. Okay, so instead of those, maybe we go for, I mean that's a little high, so maybe something like that. I quite like that, so we're going to leave that as it is. I don't think I'm going to put curtains in the bathroom, mainly because I don't want to cover this towel rail type situation that we've created. Although, where's the shower gone? I really wish they would sort out the glitches that happen, because I truly don't know what's happened here, but the shower is back in. For some reason, a lot of this has been removed. I'm not quite sure why, but okay. Very strange. A lot of stuff's been moved, so let's just add all of this back in. That can now be sold. That's very weird. I don't quite understand how that's happened, but okay. So we were adding in the coverings, weren't we? So I'm thinking maybe just a generic blind. That being said, that's quite a large one, so I'm thinking maybe not that. This is going to take a little while. That just looks ridiculous. Okay, maybe we actually just go for something like this. I feel like that might work. Just wondering if there's any colours that would look nicer. I think actually, no, we're going to stick with what we know. And just have it like that so it covers part of those windows. I think that's going to do. But then part of me is wondering if I now change these ones so that these look the same. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay, now that we've got all of that done, I'm now going to just put some paint, like a very neutral colour. Of course I'm going neutral. Maybe we actually go for something like this. Could that work? Potentially. I mean, I don't hate it, but I'm probably going to change it, like I seem to like changing everything. I'm assuming that that's shadowing, but I don't know. Okay, so we're now going to put in the flooring. So as I've obviously said, this is all going to be an open plan kitchen, living room type situation. So I'm actually going to go for wood as the flooring. But it's just a matter of which one do we want to go for. I mean, that's not really making much of a difference. just so we can actually see what we're doing. Okay. Granted, that's now looking ridiculously bright, but that's okay. So let's go for the living room. Thinking some panelling. But I obviously want to add a bit of colour into the room as well. Maybe we go for a blue room. That's a bit too cold in my eyes. I don't like that pattern. And I don't like that either. Why are the shades of blue so cold? Does anybody else think the same? Because it kind of annoys me that the blues, oh actually, that's quite nice. But it does frustrate me that the walls are, like the blues are quite cold, but this one doesn't look too bad because it's just at the top, so that's fine. So I'm thinking if we put the sofa against the back of here, the question is which sofa do we want to go for? I mean, we could technically put a cute little window seated type area in here, but I don't think I actually want to do that. I think what I'd like to do instead is, hold on, actually we need to go to the study and pick a bookcase. Do you know what, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just go back to the sofas. So sofas, I did contemplate putting in a window seat and having like a cute little window seated area here, but I always do that, like genuinely every single house that I build, it seems to end up looking like that. Now this sofa shows some sort of promise, but at the same time it's really giving like 1990s going to your grandparents' house sort of vibe. Now I think the exact same about the sofas as I do the beds. They truly drive me insane. So we're gonna be a bit of a basic woman and we're gonna go for the classic little Chesterfields. Although I really wish they did a smaller version of this, like a little two-seater would be adorable, like they've done with this one, where you've got the large and the shorter. There doesn't seem to be a two-seater version of this sofa, so we're just, unless there's a chair. Again, I quite like this chair, but there's never really anything that matches the sofa that I pick. Like, that does not suit that at all. Is there a nice shade of blue with this that could work? That doesn't really match. Oh my god. Okay, maybe we just go for a grey chair and it can be like a nice sort of accented. I think that's gonna have to do. And then I think we could maybe put a light behind it, but we're gonna just see how we feel for the time being. I've actually seen a little tip that people have been doing and I want to try it for the first time, so here goes nothing. So we want it to go sort of behind here. Like that, and then we need to go back to the study. We need to find a bookcase that we like, which, there we go, right, so then that needs to go like that. frost windows and the tall windows. Oh wow, sugar. Maybe, just maybe we sell that. Because then it looks like this, which I do like, but then we just need to do that. And it creates almost like a, I don't know, I just really like it. We just need to, so I'm just, of course, updating. There we go. I just think that looks quite cute and it minimises the amount of space that you're being used. But at the same time, you obviously can't see, you can't use that bookcase, but that's okay. So now we've got that in, we're going to put in a TV stand. So I think we're going to go for this one. It's got a little bit of a distressed kind of look to it. Now that being said, I do feel like it's a little bit far away from the TV, but it doesn't really matter. So the TV, I usually do just put one on the wall, but for this one I'm actually going to just put it on the stand, and then maybe we move this a little more forward. Like that. I think that's quite cute. And then if we add in a coffee table in the middle, I do like this, but is it just me that feels like this belongs outside? Because it says about fire roasted marshmallows, which I don't know. I don't know. I think we'll play it safe, and I think I'm gonna go for this one, which is quite cute. And then we need some accent tables, which I always pick this one. The question is which colour? Maybe, I think that looks quite nice actually. And then what we're also going to do is we're going to duplicate this bookcase. Now some people may be thinking, why on earth did you do all of that if you're just going to put more here? But realistically it's just to fill a bit of a back wall, although I'm wondering if I maybe just do it across the whole of the back to create like a library-esque type thing. No, I don't think so actually. I think we'll undo all of that. Maybe just leave it like that, and then that TV can go back. And if we just move this across ever so slightly. There we go, right. And then I think that looks quite cute. So I'm now going to just put a lamp in this corner, I think. Maybe we'll use this that I was saying at the beginning that I really nice. Okay. And then let's put a smaller accent table. How is there not something that... Oh, I think it might be this one. Okay, yeah, I was going to say, how have they got the same furniture, but it just doesn't match. Okay, nice. And then I do sometimes add in a fireplace, which I think could look quite nice here. But I'm not sure. Unless we put a fireplace here. Let's just move this and see if that could work. Because if I do pick one with... Sorry, if I do pick a fireplace, we'll need to change our TV because I quite like it to have the TV sort of against that brickwork. Let me just see what kind of colour options we have got to play with. I quite like this one. Now that's not going to fit there, which is okay. But is anything? See, some do. That looks a little bit silly. Now that one doesn't want to go on the wall, which is okay. Like it really is absolutely fine. Maybe something like that. And then if we sell that, and rather than selling this, I'm going to just put this here, just as another little bit of furniture. Now, what can we actually put on this fireplace? Because some of them are great and allow you to put multiple items on them. Others really do not. So, as an example, this doesn't like it, but that's okay because we can just put that on one of these shelves that we've put in. I think that looks better rather than sort of on an angle. And then see, why can't they have all of the colours to look like this? But I want this but blue. But then you select blue and it's a different pattern, which is quite frustrating. Oh, that's so sad. A little Tomb of the Unknown. Oh, that's so goddamn sad. Anyway, let's move on before I start crying. The child. We always have to get the child in the house somewhere because I am a massive Star Wars fan. On the date of me filming this, it is actually May the 4th, so may the Force be with anybody who celebrates. So of course it's only right that we add Yoda into the living room. I feel like I really, really wish, like desperately wish, that they would add in a sound bar, because I feel like sound bars would look great on top of a fireplace, but what do I know? For the time being, let's just install a couple of speakers, I think, for if anyone wants a little dance party. And then a plant. I think some plants are missing because we've got those ones that we added outside, but that's pretty much it. So now we've added one there. I know this is going to look a little bit strange initially, but that's okay. Does that then? Yeah, of course that goes in there. There we go. I just think that looks a little bit more uniform. question is, which colour do we want? I do think this kind of like lightish green looks better than maybe the dark, but I'm not sure. So we're going to just go with this for the time being. I'm also going to duplicate this window to there, I think. And then we need to get the sink, which we're obviously going to go for this one. There we go, and then if we change that again to a left end piece, there we go. Now granted, this looks tiny for the time being, but that's okay. We then need to add in a stove, which I think pop that there. And then we obviously need the extractor fan to go above. I'm not sure if that's the right colour though. Maybe there. We're then also going to duplicate this window to here, just to bring in a little bit more light, and then we can put the saucer there. Just to be honest, okay, yeah, so we do need that there. Okay. And then if we go back to the kitchen, back to the cabinets, we're now going to add in these which I've changed my mind on that one actually, which is fine. So actually if we move that to there, and then why? I don't know how silly that looks, but we're just going to leave it as it is, just so it's a bit more seamless. And then I think above it we're going to add in, what have we got, an outer corner piece that just for whatever reason does not want to come down. Okay, and then an end piece in a corner. I'm actually going to get rid of that, and we're going to duplicate that one instead, just because I prefer the look of it. I think that'll do for that. And then I don't hate that, but also don't love it. That's not the right colour. just pop that like that, I think. Out and about, just more clutter realistically. I mean, I might move these because they're not really. Yeah, let's delete those because they're just not really giving the vibe that I'm wanting. Cute. Okay. See what I mean about me getting distracted? We're also going to need to put in a back door because I want a back door into the back garden, of course. So, do we? I'm thinking dining table just in the middle, and then I'm thinking unless we have the dining table here actually, but then that opens this quite a lot. So, I just don't want this door to seem a bit like boxed off. So if I do that, and then the same here. Okay, it's not removed anything, and if it has, it's just sold it. Just to make that kitchen a little bit smaller. So now we need to decide which door we want to go outside, which I'm thinking. Apparently, I'm thinking, oh, that actually, do I prefer that to my current front door? No, no, I do not. Okay, so for the back door, I'm thinking just something like this, you know, something really easy. There we go. I quite like the green on it as well, actually. And then we're going to need to add in some stairs, which I'm actually going to just, I don't know if it'll let me. Yeah, let's add these and then rotate them. What the? That's not quite what was happening, but okay. Where are we at? That's fine. Let's move that just a I'm not quite sure what's happening, being completely honest, but do you know what? That is just going to have to do. And then we need to add in a railing, which maybe this one could look quite cute. I don't want the green on it though, I just want like, yeah, like that. Cute. And then at least that way there is a way into the back garden, which I think I may do the garden on a different video, just because of how long it takes to actually build a house. I don't like. Okay, I think I'm actually going to add a breakfast bar here rather than a dining table. Again, just for ease. There we go. And then that way it's not so cluttered. But then we're going to need some bar stools also. So I think these ones, if we can find the right shade for them. just there actually. Just again as a little bit of clutter. Yeah, lovely. Right. Back to cluttering the kitchen. Thinking that, and then I wish you could put these on the oven. Like, why can you not put them on the oven? It's very frustrating. A cake with style, of course, because we love to pretend that we're little hostesses with the mostess. Maybe we go for... There we go, like cookware collection and stuff like that. I don't know where this actually is hidden, to be completely honest with you. And then we can pop them there. Not that I actually keep mine there, but you know what, we're just going to go with it. I think that might do for the time being. I'm going to add a rug here though. Just for good measure, I think. I want like a relatively large rug. Like, oh, see, this is quite annoying actually. Maybe I'd quite like it like there. Oh, it's this wrong frigging colour. It's the wrong colour. It's the wrong colour. It's the wrong colour. That's too green. I want something that's like a light green that's gonna match. It's frustrating me. Maybe that one. I'm not sure. Let me know what you think down below. I'm pretty happy with how that's looking so far though, to be honest. I do think I'm gonna maybe add either a picture or something. If we search storage, see, I'd like something like this, but maybe for like fruit and veg. No, I don't like that. Okay. So if we go to the dining room, let's just see what wall decorations have we actually got. See, this blueberry wreath is cute, but it just stays there when you open the door. So maybe we'll just pop that there just for good measure, I guess. It's the kind of thing that, in my eyes, belongs on the fridge, but we evidently can't get that on the fridge. Although, if I remember correctly, is there a cork board? There is. Which, frustratingly, won't fit in that gap like we'd like it to. So if we move that up there ever so slightly, same with that. Maybe now it will fit. That's a different one. Although, which do I actually prefer? I think I prefer this one, you know. Cute. Okay. Take a shot every time I say cute. Oh, is the some sort of knife set pro thing. So I'm thinking that could go there, and then this can just go there. Is that everything? I think it could be everything that we want. just please be kind. Because my issue is, so we go like this. I don't think that looks too bad. But then do you have the roof overhanging? I don't know. I don't think so, but then surely you've not got any coverage. But I mean, what do I know, you know? Now, a half-hipped roof. I'd really like one above here, but instead of that, we're going to just add one of these in instead. But in a different colour, I think. This colour to match the front. And then that way, we've got a sort of double porch, roof-esque type thing. So we now need to try being the word to figure this roof out. Maybe we go like this. And if we duplicate this to here and rotate to move it to there, lower it down, and of course shrink that back. Yeah, so I want this bit to somewhat blend, but it doesn't seem to want to. There we go. And then this one. Kind of like that, but does that look okay? I don't think it does, but what do I know? This bit's a bit strange to me if I was to do that. I'm just not sure. Do you know what I mean? Like, I see all these people doing really like seamless frigging roofs, and mine never seems to be smooth and seamless. I don't know if this is helping. I actually don't think it is. Because part of me is like, do I just delete this, drag that, and then like that, and just have this bit overhanging? I think that's going to be the easiest thing to do, realistically. Okay, and then I think the colour of the roof pattern, I think we could also probably do with changing to either that one or this one. I think this one, because it matches this roof below it. I really wish there was a way for you to change the colour of the top of this, so it's not all just white. Do you know what I mean? Maybe we do change it to a brick. A brick could look okay, I guess. But it just looks a little too dark. Or does it? I'm not sure. I'm also unsure on this roof. I think it just makes more sense to have it like that, because it kind of overhangs everywhere else on the house apart from this side, which... And then if we lower it a little more, it's not so big. Back to the foundation. Maybe if we change the colour of the roof. Oh, that actually just looks a bit more natural, actually. A gravel. Ew, 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 ew. Do you know what? We're just gonna do it. We are just going to do it. It might look silly, but we're just, as I say, we're just going with it. Oh, of course, I've not changed the colour selection. I was going to say, this looks absolutely ridiculous. But that's fine. Okay, that's just overhanging for whatever reason, is it? That's why. And you want to bring that down, but this needs to go down more. Because then how does that not sit properly? Is it because of the size at the back? It probably is. I think this is just looking such a frigging mess at this point. I don't know what I've done. I like this hole around the edge bit, but I don't think this works in the middle. Do we just need to make these all bigger? Is that where I'm going wrong? I can't quite understand. Do you know what? It's going to be easier if we duplicate that to here. Rotate, rotate, like that. I think that's going to have to do. I feel like we've ended up looking the exact same as that first roof that we added in, just without too much overhang, which is fine. So now I'm going to just add back in that roof trim, which we go for the square one. Just going to see in case there's any other colours that I think are going to look nicer, but I don't think there will be. I think that's going to have to do for the time being. It doesn't look the greatest, but it is what it is. And then we're going to just change that pattern back to as it was, which I don't hate it. I don't love it, but I definitely don't hate it. I think for the time being that's going to have to do, and then we're going to just add in a chimney type, which realistically, where is the fireplace? The fireplace is here, so of course it makes sense for it to be there. Obviously I don't want this to be too tall either, realistically. It's just not really working, and I'm not sure why. There we go. I'm thinking there. And then, of course, I'm aware that we haven't got a railing here, but I'm going to attempt to duplicate the same one that we've put in the back garden. So if we duplicate that... Oh, okay, so that actually does work. That's okay. So if we go for a different colour, I want it to obviously blend as best as it possibly can. I think like that could work quite well. And then potentially we just, of course we can't change the colour of that fencing, so actually maybe we change it because this matches this quite well. So, like that. And it just flows a bit better, I personally think. Now all that is left, I say all that's left, we obviously need to do the garden, but I think I'm going to do the garden in a completely separate episode. So we're just going to add in a mailbox. So a mailbox, I do really like the little apartment ones, but we haven't got an apartment, so that's a bit pointless. Instead we're going to go for this one, Willow Creek one, even though I'm pretty certain this house isn't in Willow Creek, but that's okay. So we're going to just pop that one there. And I think that's going to do for the time being. So what we're now going to do is we're going to just have a little see how it's looking. I am tempted